media.
I miss the days when I felt like I could just open a podcast by asking what's boiling my pig anuses or something along those lines. You know, we've achieved a lot of success over the last 5 or 6 years here at Behind the Bastards. We've risen to the top of our field. You know, we're beloved by all, influential, powerful, mighty. But that comes with a corresponding loss of power. You know, the power to be yourself. Right? Really, the power to experiment goes away as one becomes a caricature of themselves. And so I understand a lot of the troubles facing President Biden today. That's really what I want to say.
That's what
with
you
the
want
opening of this podcast.
Wow,
Joe
that's
Biden.
how we're
Well,
leading.
I was thinking about Joe Biden because I was thinking about our old "What's Boiling My Pig Anuses" intro, and his skin does look a little bit like a boiled pig anus.
Well, that's fair. I thought you were going to say that he peaked around the same time that we peaked with our intros, which is when you said "What's cracking my peppers" so many years ago, which was
good.
one of your best intros ever.
That was several lifetimes ago for all of us.
But it's stuck in
Ancient.
my heart, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's stuck in my heart the way that a boiled pig anus sticks in a restaurant that does not have enough money for calamari. Look it up. That's what a lot of your calamari is.
Really?
That's what they do.
That's fascinating.
They bread pig anuses and fry them in places that don't want to spend money on calamari. If you've ever had cheap calamari, solid chance it's a pig anus. Yeah.
You know, I'm less bothered by that than I would like to be. I feel like if I got gotten in that way, and I've had some cheap calamari, so I certainly have. You know, the texture just makes sense to me in my mind. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've just never been more thrilled to have an allergy to gluten so that I don't have to encounter accidental pig anus when I want calamari.
And hey, I want to be clear here to people who
pig
think
anus?
No, it's gluten, gluten and calamari, breadcrumbs, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you could use a gluten-free breading.
You could, but it will not be very good.
You know, if people want to drill down my political intentions here, I would say that Joe Biden's skin has the look of pig anus that was breaded in a healthy gluten-free batter, whereas Trump's, it's one of those like. It's like not the good batter. It's like the off-brand panko, and it's loaded with gluten. You know, it's not great for you.
It's panko
as opposed to the healthy Joe Biden pig anus. Great.
Wow. Okay, you've made your political stance abundantly clear.
Thank you. We journalists are supposed to stay inscrutable, so I hope this hasn't ruined my credibility.
No, people are going to have to break this down second by second to know exactly when Robert Evans revealed his bias.
Now, speaking of anuses, do you know who's a big asshole?
No, tell me.
The subject of our episodes today, Jamie, because this week we are talking about Dr. Laura Schlesinger.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's right, baby. That's right. It's the Dr. Laura episodes.
Okay.
Are you excited? What do you know about Dr. Laura?
What do I know about Dr. Laura? I mean, I don't know. I feel like she is not someone that I have had a close relationship with. I would say I know that she is Mrs. Self-Help. I know that she does. If my understanding is correct, she is a self-help person who primarily caters to women, but also hates all women, including herself. Is that right?
Yeah, that would be a good way of describing her. She is like the most hostile to women of any major woman like media influencer that I can recall.
That's really saying something.
There's a lot to be said about like the toxicity in some of the people, a lot of the people that, for example, Oprah has brought on her show, right?
Sure.
There are a lot of valid criticisms, but her whole kind of thing is positivity. You should feel good about yourself. You should feel good. And, you know, she mixes that in with some like dangerous dieting tips and stuff, but that doesn't change the fact that
she's trying to kill you, but like also I can never really divorce myself with Oprah from the idea that she doesn't, I don't know, that she like is pilled enough by the culture that she pushes.
Yeah.
That I'm never fully sure if she knows how much she's hurting her audience. From what I've heard of Laura Schlesinger, she doesn't really have an issue with?
She has a powerful issue, and I think dissecting that is going to be an interesting part of this. But first, that's the cold open. When we come back, more Dr. Laura.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
You're listening to a podcast, so you're doing something else too, like maybe scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving places you like without thinking you'll get them, because that's what house hunting has become. But Redfin isn't built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. Redfin agents close twice as many deals as other agents, which means when you find a place you love, you've got a real shot at getting it. Redfin helps turn saved listings into real addresses. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
There's a fire inside you can't ignore. Stand still? Not a chance. You're a lifelong learner who's come this far. Now, we're here to help you keep going further. Capella University. What can't you do? Visit capella.edu to learn more.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? Business software is expensive. And when you buy software from lots of different companies, it's not only expensive, it gets confusing, slow to use, hard to integrate. Odoo solves that because all Odoo software is connected on a single affordable platform. Save money without missing out on the features you need. Odoo has no hidden costs and no limit on features or data. Odoo has over 60 apps available for any needs your business might have, all at no additional charge. Everything from websites to sales to inventory to accounting, all linked and talking to each other. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
And we're back. Jamie.
To be clear, I didn't mean that she doesn't have an issue. Uh-huh. I meant that she doesn't have an issue with hating her audience openly. Yeah.
No. Well, you know what? I would question that because what she hates is her callers. The point of being in her audience is to hate her callers with her, right? That's kind of the core of Dr. Laura. Is she is providing you with this rapid fire hose of women making bad decisions. And even if they're not women making bad decisions, she is going to attack them before they have a chance to fully explain their situation so that you feel like they're women making bad decisions. We'll be talking about this more, but what Dr. Laura offered starting in the late 80s and early 90s was the same thing that we get on Twitter when you wake up every morning and there's someone who had a really bad take or said something like stupid or crazy, and the entire world, or at least your entire online social circle, is making fun of them. That is what Dr. Laura offered. She just offered the version of it that existed in a world where the radio was the only way to really get something like that. Everybody gets to have their, 2 hours hate listening to the bad life choices of primarily young women having kids too early or who cheating on their boyfriends or having their boyfriends cheat on them, right? But that is what the appeal of her show was.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm not extremely familiar with the radio show, but that does make I feel like there should be more examined about the radio host harassment to internet harassment pipeline. I was recently talking to the feminist vegan named Carol Adams, who's awesome. She wrote this book called The Sexual Politics of Meat. So I'm sure she would love the pig anus discussion we just had.
That is a courageous title. I'm going to give it to her.
It's
you have to be
cool.
confident in your book to throw that out there. I really respect that.
She is unbelievably fucking
I'm not
cool.
joking.
I met her at a hot dog convention. She's really fucking cool.
I met her at a hot dog convention. Amazing stuff, Jamie.
Look, I'm coming in hot today. I met her at a hot dog convention, and she was, she's famously a vegan and was trying to, sort of preach the gospel about vegan hot dogs. But I was talking to her about how because she is in her 70s, I think, and she had been harassed for being, people hate feminists and vegans. And so they always came after her because the title of her book is so cool. And so it was like she had to deal with Rush Limbaugh harassment in, the 90s, and then like the warped like Jordan Peterson version of that same harassment. But it's the same playbook.
And if you're wondering, listener, I'm going to guess Dr. Laura is a big enough name. I think probably a majority of people are familiar with who she is in broad. But she is still to this day, although now mostly on podcasts, a major radio talk show host whose primary thing was giving women advice, not just women, but mostly women advice on their lives, right? And she was very mean about it. She is a precursor to Jordan Peterson. Dr. Jordan Peterson, I don't know if he doesn't become a celebrity without Dr. Laura, but it's a harder road for him because she had a major role in building a place, not just in the media, but in the right wing, for a wildly successful like pop therapist who is primarily telling you need to clean your room, right? That's Dr. Laura, and that's Jordan Peterson. Now he takes things.
What was that book, Girl Wash Your Face? Sophie, do you remember that one?
Yeah, no, Dr. Laura's
Rachel
book is
Hollis?
That's a different one.
I read it.
Dr. Laura's book, which we'll hear from this episode, is 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Their Lives, right?
I have seen that book in the wild. Yes,
it's a big old seller. So I want to get into this. I want to talk about who Dr. Laura meant to me first, because we're going to do something a little different here. We're going to play some interstitial clips from her show up through like the 2000s to the modern era as we talk about her past, because I would love to show you some of those very early from the 70s and 80s radio clips, but they don't exist anymore. The vast majority of her early career is lost media.
Jill did not listen to to her radio show, Jamie's mom.
No, I feel lucky that my mom has a pretty good radar for women who hate other women and generally doesn't fuck with them. Our radio personality when I was growing up, who I think is still in the mix, is Delilah. We were just like listening to, and that wasn't even pretending to give women advice. It was just people calling, being like, hey, can I send, can we play a Celine Dion song for my husband who hates me? And Delilah's like, yes, queen, let's do it. And she's still on the air. I loved her. She played a lot of Leanne Rimes and Tracy Chapman. So that was I feel like I kind of lucked out where I never had to listen to Dr. Laura. I feel like she's inevitable. You will encounter her, but no, I never was around people who listened to her.
I unfortunately did, because we carpooled and I always wanted to be closest to the adult because I had anxiety. And there was definitely some Dr. Laura in my childhood from various different adults driving to and from school. Robert, want to tell us your history?
Yeah, so Dr. Laura is still around and still doing her thing, which is primarily kind of feeding our worst impulses to want to feel like all of the people around us are somehow not pulling their share, right? This is the impulse that a lot of conservatism works off of, but it's also pretty, you see it in a lot of leftists, you see it in everybody, right? This idea that like somehow things are tough for me and I have this feeling that for other people they're easier, and that's not fair. There's somebody grifting off of me. And people feel this way because it's true. And it's true because like there's a tiny number of incredibly wealthy people who exist and who make themselves wealthier, sucking value out of the rest of us, right? These are the Jack Welch ass finance schools and Steve Jobs wannabes who are financializing our lives to hell and hollowing out this country for short-term profit, doing stuff like buying up businesses, loading them with debt, and then, carrying out massive layoffs and reaping windfall profits for basically destroying people's lives, right? But it's that's true that like those people are out there and they're not putting in the same amount of work that you are, and they're kind of ruining everything. But that's not immediately obvious to everybody. And the valuable role that someone like Dr. Laura plays in our media ecosystem is coming in and saying, you're right to feel like somebody's taking advantage of you. And here, I'm going to play a bunch of like selectively curated audio of people who are having too many kids that they can't support, or, getting loaded up on debt, or doing other irresponsible things, right? And these are the people that you should, you can spend some time today getting angry at these people and then go about your day. And I will throw out some simple advice about how everyone just needs to take more responsibility for themselves, right? That is where Dr. Laura came into the picture. And it's, she helps to establish, she's not the first person in this, but she comes in alongside the first, right? She is a contemporary of Rush Limbaugh. He hits a bit, or like literally just a couple of years before she does, in terms of like becoming a major figure. Morton Downey Jr., who we've talked about on the show, was another major figure in right around the same period of time. And her job was to give a lot of our moms, including my moms, people who had hard lives, who were like angry and frustrated because shit isn't fair, somebody to blame that had no actual power, right? And nothing really like that there was no harm to the people who are like, actually doing bad shit in our world if this person gets targeted, right? It's the same shit with like freaking out over welfare moms as opposed to corporate wage theft, which is, or freaking out over over shoplifting, over like corporate wage theft, which massively exceeds the value of everything shoplifted in this country by a factor, several times over. Yeah.
Everyone should shoplift. It's built into their budget to do. Yeah. And so when she's giving someone to blame, because I feel like every generation has a figure like this for women of like, actually, I mean, I feel like the generation after, it's different, but like Sheryl Sandberg feels like a figure that is like, oh, there is a clear solution to this. And it's, you're the problem and you just need to act wealthier than you are. And like forget any systemic oppression exists, and then you'll be fine. Just
lean into it. Whereas Dr. Laura's argument would be like, you don't need to lean in. You need to quit your job and raise your kids. And
I see. Okay.
Return to traditional gender roles, and somehow that will make things fine, right? It was one of those. I think. Because my mom liked her so much, I remember her for a long time. She's part of like the cultural background noise of the world that I was raised in. Like when we would get in the car, it would either be the car talk guys, if it was my dad, who are broadly neutral, let's say, neutral to good.
Shockingly, yes.
Click and Clap, the Tampet Brothers, I think was their name. Yeah, unbelievably Midwestern. Probably has a lot to do with my incredible Midwest appeal to this day. And then there was Dr. Laura, who my mom loved. My mom was kind of a frustrated person. Like her entire first career plan had collapsed. She had tried to start 2 businesses and they had collapsed. She spent most of my early life in terrible debt and feeling like her hard work had not been rewarded. And I think there was tremendous appeal to her in finding people who were irresponsible and having this kind of archon of conservative values, Dr. Laura, yell at them, because she felt somehow like people like that were responsible for her failures, right? That's the impression that I have gotten. I didn't really at the time, as a kid, I thought Dr. Laura had it all figured out, right? Because my mom said that about her. Weirdly enough, like me starting to reevaluate her happened when I watched a Frasier episode at like age 14 or 15.
Wow. He's doing the work.
He did the work. Thank you, Kelsey.
Robert.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Listening.
He was always listening. There's a great episode of Frasier where they parody Dr. Laura with a character named Dr. Nora, played by the great Christine Baranski, who is one of...
I remember this. Oh my gosh. See, now you're talking my language.
And I'm a huge Christine Baranski fan. There's not anybody today who's got like a voice like that. And she was great.
No, often imitated.
Maybe she's still alive. I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, she's very much alive. She's winning Emmys. I just saw her in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. She's great.
I must just have been. I hope she's living her best life. I must just have missed the stuff she's been doing more recently. But
she's great.
They did a good episode about her, and it made me kind of, because the point of the episode is that like she gives all this advice on how you should live your life, and has absolutely followed none of it. And it turns out that's extremely accurate. Like, the story of Dr. Laura is a woman who did the opposite of the things that she advises women to do, and gained tremendous wealth and influence as a result of doing all of the things she tells people not to do. She is the clearest example I found of somebody finding a ladder up and then cutting that ladder out like behind them, throwing it down to the ground.
That's fascinating. I mean, because there's so many flavors of this kind of person where I feel like I didn't have a Dr. Laura in the background of my childhood, but I definitely had Oprah in the background of my entire childhood. Right. And like it felt more like her whole thing was like, you are enough, except not really.
Not really. Like, you are enough, but you're too fat. Like, but you look like shit and you're doing everything like, but I guess where they kind of meet is the fear mongering around class and around like there's just a lot of that. Yeah. And it's because of that I have triangulated my own position as a cultural influencer to you look like shit, but that's fine. Look at the world. The world is not doing well enough for you to owe it looking better than you do. Right?
You are enough, but make no mistake, you look fucking bad.
You look like trash, but the world is trash. And so like you, in a way, it's camouflage. Right? It's important to blend in.
You've dressed for the occasion.
You're like one of those chameleons, right? That can like blend into the tree behind them. It's a survival method. It keeps the birds from eating you. And
your body's telling you that you need to look like shit. Listen to your body. It's saying look bad. Help blend into the trash fire around you. So, I once I saw that Frasier episode, I changed my mind on Dr. Laura more, and I started to change my mind on a lot of other stuff. It was, it wasn't just that. World of Warcraft played a weirdly large role in that, but I stopped really paying attention to Dr. Laura when I was like 16 or 17. And as an adult, there wasn't really much of reason to pay attention to her, period. And so I hadn't really thought of her in close to like about 20 years until I started doing research for these episodes. So like I normally do, I just started like I just Googled her name and popped on news, right? Just to see like, is there anything still happening? Like I honestly didn't know if she was alive when I started these episodes. And the first thing I read about her as an adult in the modern era were these lines from the opening of a CNN article. Before she uttered the N-word, before her remarks on cheated on wives, before the controversies over homosexuality and religion morality, Laura Schlesinger was considered a breath of fresh air. Now that's a lot. That's a lead.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a lead. Okay.
Yeah. And it shouldn't be N-word. It should be N-words because she says it like 11 times during the explosion on air that kind of lost her job.
Okay.
Or caused her to quit her job. But that's also not quite what it sounds like.
When was that recently?
That's 2011, Jamie.
Oh, so that's so recent. Wow.
But yes, also. Depends on what you consider recent.
Yeah.
You can tell it's a while ago because she didn't rebrand as like a canceled figure. She just kind of like got into podcasting. Like it's a mix of, she was clearly blazing a trail because that is what a lot of other people did when they got caught saying the N-word, right? To start a podcast. But she also didn't do like a real media campaign. She's actually kind of interesting as a right-wing figure. She's never embraced the political side of conservatism to the extent that is common for people who are similarly influential now.
Interesting. Okay.
I think it might just be that she got really rich early enough that she's like, I don't need that. I don't need to talk to those people. They all seem unpleasant. Like I'm a piece of shit, but I'm just going to enjoy my mansion.
Yeah, I mean, that is, I wish more people who were pieces of shit back in the day simply disappeared, because sometimes it does feel like that is the best case scenario.
Yeah, it really is. I want to continue with the next paragraph from that CNN article because it gives an idea of the kind of show that Dr. Laura ran and still runs for decades, for those of you who didn't grow up on it. Quote, despite the fact that many consider Laura Schlesinger the dragon lady of talk radio, some of us can't help but admire her. Noted a decidedly mixed 1999 consideration of her in Salon. She is snippish, overbearing, and often insulting, but anybody who has the temerity to call into her program knows what they are going to get, especially if they plead ignorance or innocence. Her message, stop whining, sometimes delivered in just those blunt words. It was a message taken to heart by more than 18 million radio listeners a week at her peak, people who looked at Dr. Laura to set them straight in their relationships, ethical disputes, and moral conundrums. And, yeah.
If there's any evidence needed that our entire country has a humiliation kink.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot because before I dug back into this, literally the day that I started this, there was like a viral tweet that was someone being like, it was one of those like people on TikTok or Blue Sky or whatever, like overly medicalizing stuff and like making statements about like, oh, I didn't realize this bad behavior is just something that people do when they have autism. And it's like, I don't know that you get this stuff where it's you get this with ADHD too, where it's like, you're just talking about stuff people do. Right? Like It's not like this is just a behavior. It's not like necessarily related to any kind of medical condition. Like you're talking about procrastination or whatever. Like just we don't need to. And I started to get into this like annoyance loop where I was like, yeah, people do need to take responsibility. And then I realized what was happening, which was that the entirety of the algorithms that make Twitter, well, it's not really profitable, but the whole attempt to make Twitter and every other social media thing profitable relies on putting stuff in front of you that you would not have seen on your own that will make you frustrated and angry. And
right.
And so it's taking what in reality is some young person working through and thinking about the world and not having any sort of actual harmful impact on me, like somebody wrongfully crediting a belief to, autism or whatever has no impact on me or anyone else. It's a person talking through shit on the internet. But the internet runs off of churning that up and putting it in front of people to get them angry and to get them talking about it and making fun of that person and attacking.
Right.
Like that's the business, and that's Dr. Laura's business. And so I guess, yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
She is a one-woman algorithm, where it's like not based on a sincere desire to educate or like it's based on like shaming people in a public forum is fun.
Yeah. In the same way, like, some lady who, I don't know, has a child with a different man while cheating on her boyfriend or her husband or whatever. Like, is that a problem for the people involved in that relationship? Sure. Does that in any way really harm me? Whatever Republicans might say about welfare? No. That is actually not something that I should care about at all. Like, there are so many actual problems that will actually harm me out there. But like, if you can put people's eyes on, this person's bad behavior is going to like, you're going to wind up paying for it, or
right. And
anything
even like
to
the
get
way
your
that
eyes on the shit that doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right. Especially when it's like codified as like this person's bad behavior, like they're a contextless bad behavior.
Yes.
That's just like, well, I don't know. Why would this happen to someone, and that sort of question, which I feel like is consistent throughout. I mean, not even just right-wing influential people, but, just the general classism of and racism and all of this stuff that goes through the way that Sophie, I'm thinking about like, I used to watch 16 and Pregnant on MTV, like no one's business. And that feels like, I don't know if that exists without Dr. Laura, because there is like a clear precedent for like shaming young, usually poor, pregnant girls. Just out of context. They're just like, well, they must have done it because they're poor.
It's the same, and it's the same thing on the internet, right? Like it's a lot of these kind of like 2 minutes hate come around and like, let's find somebody who, again, it's generally like a young person working shit out. And are they talking about like psychiatry and psychology in ways that are like not within the medical, mainstream or accurate? Are they sometimes causing problems for themselves by like doing the weird Tumblr brain shit where people like lock themselves into an ideological box? Sure. But that's what young people always do. right? Is figure out shit in slow, awkward, juddering ways. And
it's like on a certain
natural
scale,
way for that. Yeah.
Like on a certain scale, that does get scary. But like, how is the solution to publicly shame them, which I feel like, especially now, almost makes it a certainty that they will double down on it.
There's the rightest thing I've ever seen written about the internet is that article, "We all need to know less about each other." Like, yes, yes, some of this you shouldn't be aware of what a bunch of like teenagers are how they are trying to process their lives and identities yet. Like, give them time to do that. I got time to do that. I don't know, Jamie, you're kind of right in the middle of the age groups, but you've got more time than kids today get, it seems like.
I got time. I got time.
Yeah. Anyway, you should all take some time to listen to these advertisers.
Wow.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
That was amazing.
That was smooth.
Thank you. See, this is, again, you can't teach this, right? You can't train this. This is I'm hooked up to the Kali Yuga. I am mainlining Akashic truths, and that's why I'm able to add pivots so well, folks.
God is speaking through you in this moment.
In a way, I am God, Jamie.
No.
In a way, I am God.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Speaking of God, Dr. Laura was God to a certain kind of very frustrated middle-class woman like my mom in the 1990s. And I want to start by playing a clip for you of her show. Just so you, again, if you either don't remember or you didn't spend a lot of time stuck in traffic with your mom listening to Dr. Laura, this is what her show was like. And here's a sample.
I am unsure of how to continue on in my relationship with my mother. I found out last September that my dad, the man who raised me, is not my biological father for the very first time. And it has obviously caused a rift between my mother and I.
Why? Was the guy who raised you nice?
Yes, he is.
So, let me understand this. Don't babble at me. So let me understand this. You want to dump a mother who made you with one guy, obviously could not have been the greatest guy in the universe. He wasn't there. And then she found a nice guy to raise you. And you're pissed at her? What in the hell is wrong with you?
I'm upset because she lied to me about it for
So what?
her entire life.
So what? Who gives a shit? That's her private life. She gave you a wonderful man to raise you, whom you consider your daddy. What if you had been adopted? Who the hell cares? She did the wrong thing with a jerk. And then she did the right thing with the guy who raised you. I seriously would rather smack you across the head than anything else right now. You ungrateful little twit.
So I want to break down what's happening here. And I picked that because this is an instance where the point that she is making is hard to argue with. Like, yes, if that guy raised you from childhood, that is who you should see as your father. Like, and that's not bad, right? That like, there's nothing wrong with a marriage working out with someone deciding that like, oh, the biological parent of this kid, I can't raise them with and doing something else. That's not wrong. But what's actually happened here, this girl didn't come in and say, fuck my mom and fuck my fake dad. She came in being like, my mom didn't tell me the truth for years, and I feel like this is really complicated for me. And Dr. Laura didn't let her finish explaining the issue even, immediately drilled down and accused her of saying, and she never actually said that the guy who raised her she didn't consider him a father. All of that is stuff that Laura put into that conversation in order to create, because that's what she has to do, right? There's not enough people who are actually unsympathetic and shitty calling. You have to make them unsympathetic and shitty in the first 10 seconds of the call. So Laura hears this is a young woman calling in because her mom has just admitted that her dad is not her biological dad. And Laura, without the caller saying it, invents an issue, and the issue being that, okay, so this woman is attacking her mom and rejecting the guy who raised her, which this lady never claimed to be doing, right? No. Laura invents the problem in order to call this woman an idiot, right?
Sure. In no time at all.
Zero time.
Really shot. Like it is, you can tell at this point that she's been at it minimum 15
she's good
years.
At it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like she's locked in and she knows. I mean, I'm sure she's invented this problem for other people before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then I wanted to play that because people have this idea that it's like, when I say that she's giving you people to hate, she's creating those people. Most of her callers are not people who have done anything wrong. There's nothing wrong when your mom tells you that your dad was not your biological father with being like, wow, this is a lot to process. And I have a lot of conflicting feelings about it. But that's not it's not profitable, like help that person like a therapist would think through and talk through those conflicting feelings. It's profitable to pretend that this person is shitty, yell at her on the air, and then move on to the next caller.
Right.
So now that we're all suitably ready to learn about a bad person, I want to talk about her biographer, who is one of the major sources of this episode. She has the incredible name Vicky Bain, which is a great name for a person who writes unauthorized biographies of media figures. And she is the author of Dr. Laura, the unauthorized biography, a revealing look at the hidden life of radio phenomenon Dr. Laura Schlesinger, which for reasons I cannot explain, has an anarchist flag as its background. Look at this book cover. It's a series of choices here. Kind of. It's like a very distinct red and black blocky thing going on there.
Vicky Bain does sound like a comic book villain's girlfriend in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
Yeah. No gods, no talk radio. So Vicky L. Bain was at one point, at least, a correspondent for People magazine. Google tells me that she has a husband and 2 sons and lives in Colorado. She was also the author of two unauthorized biographies, one being the Dr. Laura biography, which I've read, and the second, which I have not read, is The Lives of Danielle Steele, and appears to be an unauthorized biography of Danielle Steele.
Wow. I am not disinterested in that, I will say.
Yeah, I found the Dr. Laura book in the Internet Archive. You can probably find the Danielle Steele one there too, but I haven't checked. Yeah. I will say, while this book is invaluable because we just really don't have a lot of other good sources about her early life that talk to a lot of people who know her, this is a really hateful book in a way that even as someone who doesn't like Dr. Laura, I had to go, this is a little ethically questionable, particularly because a decent chunk of it, not most of it, but a major source is a guy who leaked nude photos of Dr. Laura to the news.
Oh my God.
So this is a sleazy book. Right?
Yeah.
I need to set that expectation before we get into this, right?
God, it is like one of the great wrinkles of the world that horrible people can be treated like shit.
And this Vicky kind of treats Dr. Laura like shit. On the other hand, Dr. Laura treats everybody like shit. And I'm not saying that makes it right. It's just, this is not two wrongs making a right. It's just two wrongs making a podcast. So hopefully you will all find that entertaining.
And so make sure to buy the products and
like
services advertised on this great show, because there's no ethical solution we're presenting.
No, it's like everything else in capitalism, folks.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. The book also features very fucked up stories from Dr. Laura's mother, who hated Laura and who Laura says was a terrible person, although maybe that's Laura being a terrible person. It's impossible for us to know. But yeah, it is a weird experience reading a biography of a bad person and still going like, wow, this book's kind of mean. But I got to give Vicky credit. That's an impressive achievement.
Shout out Vicky. Can't wait to hear you rake Danielle Steele across the coals.
Take her down a peg.
My aunts will be found, devastated.
Yeah. I assumed she was like 40 people writing in a factory.
Kind of like a Carolyn Keene kind of. Who knows who's writing Nancy Drew books?
Yeah. So the Dr. Laura story starts with two people she did not like, her father Monty and her mother Yolanda. Back during the Great Dub-Dub-Dose, Monty was a soldier. He had a pretty serious World War II. He gets promoted from corporal to lieutenant, which means a lot of people died ahead of him. Right? That's not a normal progression in a military career. At the end of the war, he was stationed in Italy, where he met Yolanda, who was a native Italian and, one assumes, looking for a way out of her war-torn country. Vicky writes that Yolanda met Monty while he was, quote, serving in a disputed territory of Yugoslavia. So this would be an area that had a particularly nasty World War II. If you know the Balkans, World War II was not a great time to be anywhere near the fucking Balkans.
Yeah.
So they leave Europe after World War II. She comes back with Monty to the East Coast, where they decide to have kids. This is a messy move, and it's going to be unpopular with most of the people in Monty's life because Monty's family is Jewish and traditional enough that they do not like the idea of their son marrying a Gentile girl. Nevertheless, on January 16th, 1947, Laura Catherine Schlesinger became one of the very first baby boomers.
Wow, it's like the original boomers. That's really impressive. Imagine
First
two
wave,
very
baby.
traumatized people having a supervillain of a child.
Yeah, two people who have been utterly shattered by war, coming back and having a child into a family who, for reasons of racism, rejects them and their child. A real recipe for a healthy person who's going to be a good therapist on the radio.
I don't understand what happened.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so she's born like this in 47.
In 47 in Brooklyn and raised in Long Island. Monty eventually gets a job as a civil engineer, but his family never accepted his wife and kind of didn't accept his daughter. As an adult, Laura wrote this of the troubled union. All hell broke loose when my father's mother went on a relentless attack against the shiksa, which means in Yiddish, the non-Jewish wife of a Jewish man. My grandmother tried to do everything she could to get rid of my mother and turned much of the family into rejecting us. When I was 2.5, my mother took me back to Italy, probably to get a break from this cruelty. My mother's mother and father were dead by this time. She was not close to her brother, and her older sister had been killed by the Nazis on the first day she joined the underground resistance. I like to think that I channel her courage. You do not, Laura. Look.
No, sorry about that.
Wherever you stand politically, sitting on a microphone is not the same as dying as soon as you join the anti-fascist resistance in Italy. Very different things. One of them pays millions of dollars in your case, Dr. Laura. So not quite the same.
Yeah. And one of you is alive at age 77.
Yes. Yeah. One of you is still alive.
Yeah.
Did not get murdered by Mussolini's buddies.
God. Yeah.
Anyway, great stuff. Laura's childhood, though, was definitely not warm. Her parents had little time to spend on their daughter's emotional health, and because she was half Jewish, she was ostracized by other kids in her neighborhood. Again, this is the United States in the 40s and 50s, right? Like, it's a big deal that she is half Jewish, right? Like, people make that a big deal.
The part of the episodes where you make me feel bad for the initial wound of the fucked up person. It's always the hardest part, even more than the fucked up part.
Look, there very few people are never sympathetic, right? There's a point in the Hitler story where he's just a boy trying to take care of his mom as she dies from cancer. And his Jewish doctor notes decades later, after he's the Fuhrer, he had never seen a boy so sad, right? That's just life. You just got to accept that if you actually care about understanding people.
Well, I know. I've been on this show for a million years and it still makes me sad.
It should.
Baby Dr. Laura, God. If only
Baby
she had
Dr.
like one
Laura's
person.
having a time of it. Yeah.
It really, it does feel motivating, at least, like if there's a kid that is very much lost in your, like, be a person they can talk to, because you could be preventing a future Dr. Laura. Be a person
they can talk to, make them feel valued, make them feel like they have a place to be, and every day or so say, never get on the radio. Avoid the radio.
No one ever told us that. And that was, we didn't have that person.
Yeah. Become an accountant or something.
Yeah.
That's what she needed. That's what, a lot of kids in this position need is subtle support. And also don't become a radio host.
Yeah.
So her primary impressions of her social peers in this period were that they responded to her with rejection and punishment. Those are her words, and this included physical violence at times. At home, she was also subject to physical violence at times because her father was both physically and mentally domineering. She later told a reporter that, quote, she was afraid to open her mouth because he would scream at her and smack her. At the same time, she credited her father with instilling in her the drive to succeed. Laura told another reporter from Redbook that her dad was, quote, real good at getting angry, but he was also good at telling me what was right and what was wrong. I think he could have cared more about the impact of his behavior instead of feeling entitled to act because that's what he thought or felt. She claimed that he was the kind of argumentative guy who would latch on to disagreements like a remora, who was almost looking for disagreements, right?
Wow.
And so
it's very specific fish to cite. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the kind of fish that her dad was and the kind of fish that she becomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laura grows up desperate to make a mark and prove herself to be someone special. And like this sort of person sometimes does, she also winds up obsessed with the rules, right? What is fair? What is right and wrong based on what are the rules? And so as a little girl, she would race to the principal's office whenever she saw other kids doing something bad, like vandalizing encyclopedias in the library. For Gen Z listeners, an encyclopedia is like Wikipedia, but without all, like, it's not mostly Star Wars lore. So in other words, it's like a useless Wikipedia.
Yeah, if Wikipedia couldn't be edited and looked and smelled like shit, like something about the smell of encyclopedias was always very, very sticky.
There's nothing about One Piece in it, so you kids wouldn't have any reason to read it.
Wow.
There you go.
Wow.
There
You're
you go.
really
I could make an anime
speaking
joke.
to the youth again. Yeah.
The Gen Z kids know me. Yeah. They understand that I'm plugged in, baby.
Uncle Robert is on one today.
That's right.
Don't mind him.
The Schlesingers were on the tip of the spear when it came to white flight. And by the late 1950s, they had left Brooklyn for a Long Island suburb. Laura was the traditional gifted kid, pushed by an overbearing mother to succeed at school. For an idea of the kind of stubbornness that she developed as a result of this, Laura's mom made her practice piano an hour a day, and Laura's rebellion was she would only practice if she could start exactly on the hour or exactly on the quarter hour. So if it was like 1:01, she have to wait 13 minutes until it was 1:15 to do her hour of practice.
So I am like, TikTok armchair diagnosing here, but it sounds like she may be a young OCD girl Having been there myself, like you have to do a certain thing at a certain time or we will die. That has also like in addition to, it seems like that's her instinct, but also that there is this fixation on the idea of order, which explains going to the teachers for stuff, which explains, but like that's like reinforced, like the idea of order is reinforced at home instead of like, hey, take a breath, the stuff that you would hope for.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely like what we're seeing here. Right.
Yeah.
She describes like her weird time fixation as self-discipline. Right. And I think it's her grasping for control. Like she can't make her control the fact that her mom wants her to do this, but she can have that kind of control. And like, it makes sense.
I mean, it's
to me.
like, unfortunately, it's like, I don't know, when I was in like 4th and 5th grade, I wouldn't leave a room until I had written down what everyone was wearing and what was hanging on the walls. And that was the way to maintain like order. And then if there's no one around you to like, sort of pull you out of that, and if there's people around you encouraging it, it's just like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And it is one of those things where like, this isn't Dr. Laura becoming Dr. Laura isn't the only way being this kid goes. It's not the usual. It only really happened once.
I hope not. Yeah.
I know a lot of people who had I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, well, I had kind of a similar experience, right?
Totally.
But it's also like she is one of those people where, all of this makes sense. I totally understand how someone with this background wound up as Dr. Laura, right?
Absolutely. It's like not everybody, but it's not, inconceivable that this would happen.
It's
if
not
this
surprising.
Is who she is.
Yeah. Her classmates in grade school and high school all remember her as pretty, quiet, and extremely serious. Like as a kid in grade school, she was really weirdly serious. And like one thing you get a lot, some of this might just be Vicky really pushing for salacious stuff, but they all talk about that she was hot, but they talk about it in such a way as like, it's weird. She was hot, but she didn't have any friends and wasn't very popular because she didn't seem to want to know people. Right.
That's so I mean, obviously we can't truly fully trust Vicky.
Of course not. No.
I like it sounds like she fucking sucks.
To be fair, Vicky could be doing this. You can't trust a bunch of people 40 years later talking about how someone was in 8th grade.
When was Vicky's book published?
It was like in the 90s, but still a long time. Not 40 years, but a while later. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the word beautiful is still, I mean, it still is now, but like, especially then, like indiscriminately thrown around just to like validate that you are reading about a person of worth. But I don't know. Every time it's like a young girl is described as like, like didn't want to know other people. I immediately go to like, she was probably shy.
Maybe. Here's where we get weird here, because one of the best pieces of evidence suggesting that Vicky's portrayal of things may be accurate is that Laura says the same thing in different language. Here's what she told an interviewer in 1979. I had a distinct feeling of being out of sync with the rest of the world, just as if I had landed from another planet. While my peers were outside skipping rope and playing games, I stayed in the home where, like a hilariously precocious child, I wore an ill-fitting lab coat and crooked glasses. So that seems to kind of back up what Vicky's saying. I also think it might be a lie, because this is Dr. Laura, 1979, at the start of her career, and that doesn't sound like an honest recollection of events. Just nobody would describe themselves as like a hilariously precocious child unless they were doing myth making, right?
That's like, what because it's like we can't trust Vicky or Laura in the account of Laura's life.
Absolutely not a single reliable source on this woman's early life. Dr. Laura as an adult wants you to believe that as a kid, she was isolated. She didn't fit in. She felt like, she was an adult in a world of children, and she was a mad scientist. It is very important to Dr. Laura that you see her as a mad scientist, as an adolescent girl, which is interesting.
Which is so wild, because it's like, could there be anything more different than it sounds like what she is? I mean, I don't know enough, but like, it sounds like she is not encouraging people to be like this, but it's also important to her that she is perceived like this.
Yes, she's an iconoclast and also was a serious child scientist. maybe she was some of that anyway. We'll keep talking about this, but it is very peculiar, and that makes me think about something that's not peculiar. Really, the only normal thing that exists,
The
Jamie.
selling of goods and services?
That's it. Jamie, I don't know if you know this, but 10,000 years ago in ancient Babylon, you know what people were doing?
What?
Goods and services.
Oh, my God.
10,000 years from now, when mankind has spread to the stars, goods and services. There's no other reason to go to the stars but goods and services. That's the message of Star Trek.
There's more goods. I agree. I think that is where things are headed. We don't know the end game of it, but we went to the stars to find more goods and more services.
Right. The ultimate, finally to find the goods and services that can make us happy. Right. And
we did
you'll
not
find
seek
that.
justice.
No, fuck justice.
Yeah.
All products, baby. That's the motto of this show.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Kids, pets, life, your sofa sees it all. But with a washable sofa, stains don't stand a chance. All of our sofa collections come with fully machine washable covers and cushions, making cleanup effortless. Liquid and stain-resistant fabrics provide extra protection against everyday messes. Plus, with modular designs, you can rearrange your sofa however you like. Perfect for growing families and changing spaces. Starting at just $699, it's time to upgrade to a stress-free, mess-proof sofa. Visit washablesofas.com today and save. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
And we're back, and we're thinking about Dr. Laura as a child mad scientist. So when Dr. Laura is 10 or 11 years old, her parents have another daughter, and Laura has a bad relationship with her sister. She never forgives her for taking the attention that ought to have been hers.
Yeah, definitely never forgive someone for being born. Mistake number one.
No, I call my little brother every day, and I just say, fuck you. He's never been anything but good to me. Sweet guy.
I love
really good
my little
person.
brother, but he will suffer for his crimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Even though his crimes in this case were taking enough of my parents' attention away that I was able to watch The Simpsons, which really worked out great for me.
Incredible. My little brother's most notorious crime is that he caught me making out with someone downstairs while we were allegedly watching Family Guy, and was so disturbed that he threw up and woke up my parents.
No.
And then I got in trouble.
See, my brother never narked on me. He's only ever been a good person. But when I was a kid and like I was like 14 or 15 and my parents were out for the night or something, I don't know why. They might have been doing a date night or some shit. But I was watching him and I tried to put on stuff that he wasn't normally allowed to watch, which like I would have loved when I had been his age. And he got scared and ran into his room to hide. Like he was never a like, I will narc on you. He just like was legitimately wanted to follow the rules.
Punished for being a sweetie.
And, you know, he's a happier and healthier person than I will ever be. So who's to say?
It does seem traumatizing to see an older sibling do something that is like coded as bad.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, what can you do? We celebrate our brothers, but they've got to go.
Mm-hmm. They've got to go. Yeah. Jamie, when the revolution comes, it'll be the little brothers first up against the wall.
Little brothers are first to go.
Yeah. I think we can really make political hay off of this.
Oh,
Yeah, so she has a little sister, never forgives her, horrible relationship forever.
How dare she?
Dr. Laura claims this is when she started dreaming of a career in psychology. I also think this is bullshit. She did not actually focus on psychology as a discipline until she is a mature adult. And this is how she I want you to hear how she framed this decision, her childhood interest in psychology that there is no evidence of, in an interview later once she was famous with Psychology Today. Okay. All the kids talked about getting a boyfriend or a car, and I kept struggling with why I was alive, what life means. I just don't believe you, Dr. Laura. I just don't believe you.
It's so weird for someone who is like famously encouraging women to return to the home, describing herself like fucking Allen Ginsberg. Like, what are you saying?
I hate this shit. It's not just Dr. Laura. Lots of people do this. You get this online a lot with people being like, wow, it seems like a lot of my peers are, selfishly interested in just partying and drugs. And like, I'm thinking about like stuff that matters, whether that's politics or psychology or whatever. Like, no, everybody thinks about what things mean and who they are and what life is about. And everybody also wants to get laid. You're not special. Chill out.
Right. Like any intellectual curiosity excludes you from being a person with like human desires.
Don't separate
needs.
yourself from the rest of the human population because you want to feel like you're better than them.
Dr. Laura, you were slamming Mike's hards with the rest of us. Be serious.
Yeah, exactly. Like we all got fucked up as kids and partied, and we also all looked up at the stars with wonder in our hearts. Like you're not more of a person than anyone else. Calm down. Calm down, Dr. Laura, and calm down you, the listener. We all need that reminder sometimes.
Yeah, take a breath. Take a breath. It's just a podcast. It can't hurt you. For now.
For now, until the next Supreme Court ruling, God willing.
That weaponizes podcast-based violence.
Podcasters can now order airstrikes. Awesome. Will Wheaton's finally going to get his.
Wow.
Yeah. Part of why I think, that's right, Jamie. Part of why I think that Dr. Laura is self-mythologizing with a lot of this child mad scientist stuff is that some of the quotes Vicky provides from her former classmates just describe her as a very normal girl. Here's a quote from the book talking about an interview with a friend of hers with the last name Eagle. Eagle even remembered Laura handing out advice and more. I had a crush on a guy, explained Eagle, and I think we stalked him that year. They were juniors with her helping me. According to Eagle, Laura had several parties at her house as well. The kind where you turn off all the lights and play Johnny Mathis, said Eagle. She was fun. She could twist your arm into doing things you didn't want to do, but certainly nothing bad. Back then, we hadn't even heard of all the naughty things you could do. And that makes her sound like a perfectly normal teenage girl.
It's so wild how much more like infinitely accessible that makes her.
Yes, like was she like the secret the only one really thinking about serious issues? I had to know the mysteries of the human mind.
That's a sinister way to characterize yourself. Yeah.
Helping her friends stalk a boy that they had a crush on and listening to fucking rock music or whatever Johnny Mathis is. I'm not old enough to know. Don't come after me.
I
subreddit.
Don't really know. I think he might be soft
it's fine.
rock. Ask the Delilah audience. They'll know.
Yeah. They'll figure it out. So one thing we do see early evidence on is that people really did not like working with Dr. Laura. She wrote for the school paper, and at one point they had a vote for who should be editor in the next year. And there was a classmate who was out sick and who had already said, I don't want to be the editor when this vote comes up. And they all vote for him, even though Laura is campaigning for the job, because everyone seems to have agreed she should not have power, which I do find funny.
Whoa. Bummer. That does feel like, I mean, like losing at little things. You're like, at what point does the true supervillain origin story take hold?
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel like, I mean, can you think of another example where the loss of a student election leads to it? It feels like a classic, like supervillain origin story of like, oh, my peers hate me.
I mean, all of Hitler's madness started when he didn't get picked to be the editor for his high school yearbook. You know, that's widely agreed on by Hitler. That was a lie, people. I know people can't tell what a lie is on the show when I say lies. That was a lie. It's fine.
Look. And something, I'm a murderer, and something, daddy. Okay.
Yeah.
I do feel like, if you're a high schooler, just like vote the most evil person who's running into student government, and then they'll just taper off.
Yeah, I think we should have like you know how there's that I'm trying to think of like a Hunger Games situation. We should have that, but only for the kids who self-select to be in student government. They're not going anywhere good, you know?
Wow. I will not publicly agree to that, but I think it is but I
Jamie, the Hunger Games is a beloved franchise, so you're arguing against the people here. I'm just a man of the people. I'm a man of the people. Yes,
you're pro Suzanne Collins, and I celebrate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that guy who died that everybody liked, he was in those movies. Anyway, Donald Sutherland. Yeah.
Oh, were you? Yes. Yeah.
Donald Sutherland. So Dr. Laura said this to the Los Angeles Times Home magazine in 1979 about this period in her life. Looking back, it seems to me I was struggling for some kind of acknowledgement or approval. I didn't feel happy, just driven towards science. And, she said, she reacted by retreating into the seemingly rational world of science. The childhood experiments with milk bottles and fruit flies turned into experiments in genetics and biochemistry when she was in her teens. She even built her own lab equipment in the basement.
Isn't it funny that, like, that's whether we like her or not, that's a woman talking about science, but it inevitably ended up in LA Times Home.
Yeah.
It was very Dr. Laura coded.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Now, there is some evidence she certainly seems to have been good at science and very interested in it as a young girl. There's her quote from her Jericho High School yearbook on the year she graduated says, quote, like, so basically in this yearbook, it wasn't a huge school. So each kid or each page would have two kids, and you'd get a photo of them and then like a description of them and a quote, right? And the quote that someone wrote for Dr. Laura was, "Heredity determines the color of her eyes, but science lights them up. Her assistance is invaluable in any research lab." That's kind of weird. I don't know who wrote that, but I find it off-putting. Don't talk about heredity. What are we doing? Why are we talking about this in the school yearbook?
Weirdly like a skull measuring kind of.
It feels like you're going to lead to race mixing at some point here, right?
I don't like leading with heredity is gross.
Yeah, to race science.
This makes me want to look up Robert Durst's yearbook quote because I forget what it was, but I know it always made me laugh.
Oh, the big D? Yes. You mean the murderer. Sorry, I was thinking of Fred Durst.
No, well, common misconception.
Who was recently in the great movie, I Saw the TV Glow, which was very good.
He was. Yes, I loved that movie, and I loved his appearance. Robert Durst, no, he's a dead murderer.
Oh, okay.
But Robert Durst, we durst not criticize this Bob, whose activities make him stand out from the mob, which is an incredible yearbook quote for an eventual murderer.
Yeah. He's an iconoclast, you know?
For years, I was like, he's innocent. And then that joke stopped being funny. And then I stopped saying it. But he did, get away with, I think it was like in Texas, in Galveston, he got away with dismembering someone in self-defense was his most notorious crime.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's his most notorious crime. I think that hairstyle was a worse crime. But,
wow, get his ass.
I'm also pro murder. You know this about me.
I know you're pro murder. I know.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm I feel like the way a lot of voters, like those swing voters who keep going back between Trump and Biden, that's how I feel about murder. You know, I'm a swing voter for murder. You know, some murders I like, some murders I don't. I take it on like
I refuse to continue.
Okay, that's probably a good idea. Once she graduates high school, her ambition is to become a great research scientist. And she would talk constantly to friends and to the adults in her life that she wanted to find about wanting to find the cure for cancer. And, you know, that's how kids talk about that. That's not really how cancer works, but that's how kids who are ambitious might talk about cancer. So
Sure.
I believe that, right?
Yeah.
Lori is always conservative as a kid. Some of her friends recall her arguing about politics with them, but also like not weirdly so. Just like, you know, some kids usually express some form of political opinion, and nobody really, hers was not particularly noteworthy. Kind of the most devastating detail of her adolescence comes right after she graduated high school and before she left for college. She worked up the courage to ask her dad, who was the only one of her parents that she seems to have actually loved, "Am I pretty?" And he said, "No, you don't have the looks that'll make a guy turn his head."
Oh,
which is
my
like
God.
horrible. That's just devastating stuff to hear from your dad.
There's your villain origin story.
No,
Forget what I said about
absolutely.
Stugo. That's, oh my God.
And we don't get much. She hates her mom. I just don't know that we don't really get much in the way of detail as to why. So either what her mom was saying was way worse than this, or it's something a lot messier. Like her mom was not nearly as shitty as her dad, but for whatever reason, she idolized her dad. You know, whatever is going on here.
There's
is
like any sort of human psychology that Dr. Laura would refuse to understand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She does not seem to have analyzed this, but
that is devastating.
We do get some hints of what the worst shit from her mom might have been, if that is indeed what was going on here, which is that her college roommates recall that she was afraid of her mom would steal any boyfriend she happened to get, which is like a weirdly specific and also weird thing for a teenage girl to worry about. And if that was really a thing that happened to her, boy, Laura, I am sorry. That is a rough draw off the mom card.
That's extreme. That also happened to the creator of Beanie Babies with his dad.
Well, in that case, I think his dad did the right thing. So,
I don't totally disagree with you is the unfortunate thing.
All I know is what I learned in that movie that I assume is canon.
Oh, that movie's dog shit.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said. So, Laura goes to Stony Brook University, where she studies physiology. Laura is noted by her few friends as never leaving campus. She does not go home for the holidays or anything. And she is also not an easy person to live with. One classmate recalls she always had an opinion of things and what people should be doing. Laura was particularly incensed whenever her roommates would have boys over. It didn't matter that everyone's doors were open and that no one was fucking. She would yell at them because she was sure they were screwing around and having premarital sex. So this is where we get some outside info that like, okay, so maybe she's just always sucked ass.
Right. Whereas it sounds like whatever insecurities or like she is internalized growing up has now turned into weapons forever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this was she was off-put. No one ever was able to live with her for more than like a semester at a time, right? She's that kind of person.
Okay.
After graduating, she went to Columbia University to get her master's and studied under an MD who was researching the glucose transport mechanism. Laura was at this point scientifically interested in finding more efficient methods of measuring glucose levels and response to insulin, which would have been great if she'd stuck with that. It would have been great. She doesn't.
Yeah.
What she does do is meet a guy named Rudolph. She meets him because she's a walker. She's one of these people who takes regular long walks. And it says something deeply unhinged about her that she took these long walks in high heels. And one day she catches her heel on a bridge, which makes her fall and seriously injure her kneecap. And Rudolph is on scene and gallantly rescues her. So the two start their relationship while Laura is in a wheelchair and dependent on him. They get married, but as she heals, she becomes aware of the horrifying reality that, like, Rudolph fell in love with the version of her that was dependent on him. And Laura is an extremely independent person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the marriage starts to break apart, It's just kind of a doomed situation. And the sort of thing that very young people do, get married too early based on something that is more of like a momentary thing that rather than evidence of like long-term compatibility, not a weird story and not one that most people would judge someone over, although Dr. Laura is going to build a career judging people over shit like
it's
this.
like, but if anyone is qualified.
Yeah, and brave of both of you did not make a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer joke. Just wanted to point that out.
I don't know what his nose looked like.
Brave.
So Laura graduated and broke up with her husband right around the same time she gets her master's degree. The actual divorce process is going to take some time, but before it's done, Laura travels to Los Angeles to teach physiology and human sexuality at the University of Southern California.
Boring.
The divorce... Yeah, it's great stuff. The divorce gets finalized in 1977, and Laura is going to spend the rest of her life delighting in telling interviewers that her ex-husband brings his parents to court. I don't know enough to say which of them was the bad guy, but she does kind of sound like a dick when she talks about it. But hey, no fault divorce, which she's going to hate in the future.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it's while teaching at USC that not quite yet a Dr. Laura Schlesinger would meet a man who is going to set her on the road to becoming an icon. And that man's name is Bill Balance with 2 L's. Have you ever heard of Bill?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Jamie, you're going to love learning about this piece of shit. This is a real influential piece of shit.
Okay.
Born in Peoria, Illinois, Balance got his degree in journalism and served in the Marines before starting a varied career as a broadcaster during the golden age of radio. From the 1950s to the 1970s, he worked everywhere from Denver and Honolulu to San Diego, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, which is where he was when Laura met him. In 1971, he had launched a new hit series, widely considered to be the first shock jock show. He's not quite a shock jock, but he is the primordial ooze from which the shock jocks emerge, right?
Okay, it's all coming together.
Yes.
Okay.
And he's hugely influential. He is pre-Rush Limbaugh. He is pre-Howard Stern, but he is all of them descendant. You and I, unfortunately, have this guy's DNA in us.
I'm sure we do. And that, what a bummer. Okay. All right.
It's
so
not great.
He is our dad. He is daddy.
He's great granddaddy, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the series that makes Bill take off, he's reasonably successful, but he has his huge hit series in 1971. And that series is Feminine Forum on KGBS AM in Los Angeles. I know you're just psyched to hear what Feminine Forum was, Jamie.
I really hope. Is he the host?
He sure is.
Good. I was hoping he would be the host. Well, yeah,
absolutely.
Let me have it.
Absolutely.
Let me have
Here's
it.
how
What
the
does he have to
LA
say?
Times describes the show. Designed for a young female audience, the daily 5-hour show featured topics such as where did his love go and how did you know it was gone? And have you ever thrown yourself at a hunk who wasn't catching? And are you a red hot mama? Balance played the role of what former Times radio columnist James Brown called the lascivious uncle chiding his doll babies to rid themselves of their grunt-head oppressors. Within a year, Balance's Feminine Forum was one of the most popular radio shows in Los Angeles, with as many men turning in as women. By turns witty, racy, and confessional, the daring program was soon syndicated across the country and spawned imitators in dozens of cities.
Oh.
So, how you feeling about that, Jamie?
I'm just kind of taking it all in.
It's a lot. There's a lot there.
I feel like my brain kind of like I started to get brain freeze at lascivious uncle.
Yeah, we don't have this guy anymore, and it's good that we don't.
I'm trying to think of who
because women get to have shows now,
uncle.
Right?
Right, and I guess that he was the final boss of lascivious uncles, because I can think of lascivious aunties or not even lascivious aunties. I can think of like shameful aunties.
Bill
but
is
lascivious uncle. Was he popular? Was he genuinely popular among?
As far
girls?
as I can tell, very popular with young women.
Because again, fascinating.
There's not a lot for them. There's not a lot of radio that's just young women talking about their relationship problems, their difficulties dating. And like Bill is there, and the show exists because there's a man to kind of honestly midwife it, if you'll forgive the phrasing, right? He's got to be there and he's got to be like He's got to be kind of holding it up so that the network, will approve it in the first place. But a huge part of the show, it's never just Bill as the host either. He brings in a lot of women, including eventually female, therapists and doctors and stuff as guest experts to help talk with these women callers about their relationship issues and stuff.
So is the tone of this show, as far as we know, is it Dr. Laura coded? Is it kind of rooted in shame?
No.
What is the vibe of it?
He nearly always sides with the women calling. A big part of he does it in a way that you and I would say is deeply sexist and gross, but he tells them that their feelings are valid. A lot of the times his advice is you need to dump that man. You're better than him, right?
God,
so it's complicated. Bill's legacy in this part is very much. It's not just bad or just good, right?
I feel like if anything, I don't know. I don't want to hand it to this guy in any way, shape, or form. But if his work demonstrated that there is a clear and present need for young women to have their feelings validated by literally fucking anyone in a public forum, that is such a bummer that it took someone that far afield from who they were being no, it's okay. Ugh.
I would have to say you can draw two lines from Bill. One line is shows like the Bechdel cast, right? Where you've got women talking without any kind of male intermediary. And that is a major thing in entertainment, and it has been for quite some time. And Bill helped show that there was a thirst for that, right? And the other thing,
the audience existed.
Yes. The other thing Bill helped show is that a lot of people would listen to an old guy be gross to women, be gross about women. And so you get a lot of the shock jock shit that's going to come later comes out. A lot of what the networks get from this is that there's a lot of interest in men talking to women about sex, right?
Okay, so it's you could pull Howard Stern or the Bechdel cast from
That's kind of what's interesting about Bill. He's early enough back that you can pull both from it, right?
Sure.
And I should give you at this point an example of the kind of incisive commentary that Bill provided.
Oh boy,
Sophie, this is
Oh my gosh, my chest just tightened.
Your husband, he was not the father of this baby.
Well, actually, it's rather complicated.
But we're going to explain it to Bill.
My child is
42.
Child's father is my husband's father.
The child's father is your husband's father.
Yes.
In other words, you were making it with your father-in-law-to-be.
Right.
Before the ceremony.
Right. That's why I changed my mind.
Because you figured that your father-in-law-to-be was a better man than his own son.
Right.
So why didn't you marry the father-in-law? Was he still married to your soon-to-be mother-in-law?
Yes.
Oh, that's a kind of a dull thing for him to have done.
Well, that won't be much longer.
In other words, if you marry the projected or proposed husband, he would be the brother of his own child.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
Gee. So, but you mentioned, just in passing, it was kind of a throwaway line, Giannina Mia. You mentioned that maybe it won't be for long. You mean he's going to get rid of his old fat wife and marry you?
Well, not marry me, but I don't want to get married. But,
no.
There.
So, you see,
why is he hitting every consonant that?
That's how you delivered shit on the radio back then.
That
He's a
is how
successful
you
broadcaster.
told women what for back in the day.
Except for he's not being judgmental or mean there. He's being silly. He's kind of making fun of it a little bit, but he's mostly just asking her for details because it's an interesting, saucy story, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I was I don't think he's doing nothing there. I think he's asking
he's not doing nothing.
Leading questions that he knows the answer to that makes the behavior sound more not even that it's not salacious, but giving telling the listeners that thing that you're wondering is is this person doing something kind of fucked up? Yeah, and here is my thesaurus to prove it. He's doing a lot.
Yeah, he's doing a lot, but he's also doing. You can also see him in the line to Dr. Laura, right? Where they're doing a similar thing. Like Bill, as soon as he hears the basis of this, he's like, I need to steer this to talking about how this guy she's marrying is going to be the brother to her son, right? That's the line that needs to get out. It's like the old, there's a popular song around the time, I'm my own grandpa, right? Like, I need to get that. I need
really?
to. Yeah. Oh my God, it's a great song. You hear it on Dr. Demento.
Okay.
Very funny song. But he's really got to hit on that, right? Because he knows that that's like the craziest, funniest detail. But the way he kind of pulls it out, he's got a much slower style. Like he's not, Dr. Laura gives stuff less time to breathe, which is interesting to me. Like one of them isn't necessarily more honest than the other, but it is interesting, like the difference.
Well, how many
in
hours
both
does
of them
she
go after
have
it.
to Bill's 5?
Yeah, Bill gets 5.
I guess he
and
has
he has a
some time
slide
to kind
whistle,
of tease
which you
it out of
definitely
you.
hear, right?
No.
I mean, you heard the slide whistle in there. This is, of course, a slide whistle show. So Bill is popular, and I should, I said earlier it was extremely popular among women. There's also a lot of rage inspired by this show, right? And he gets attacked a lot by feminist organizations, obviously. And I'm going to continue that quote from the LA Weekly. Feminist groups accuse the program of exploitation and insulting the intelligence of his callers. For his part, Balance called women's rights activists professional blind dates. So he's that kind of piece of shit, right? He's Howard Stern, too, Although Howard Stern is a much better person,
Tell me
probably.
what this has to do with the Bechdel cast, Robert. I swear to God.
I don't know, Jamie. Like, it's a different era before Bill Balance. After Bill, you get Dr. Laura. After Bill, you get a lot of shows that are like women talking to and about women.
Sure.
He's not the only thing in there, but he breaks a seal on what talk radio can be. And it's also worth noting that, like, after Bill, you get Rush Limbaugh and you get fucking like all of the shock jocks that we get, Michael Medved, all of these horrible things. He's the first fish that walked on land, right? Rather than the immediate simian precursor, right? Like he just sort of, it shows that radio can be a different thing than it had been before.
I do think, like, across mediums, it is unfortunate and vile that there's like, it's often just like a lascivious uncle who ends up, proving again, because it's been proven over and over and over, that there is an audience that is not just like men. And yeah.
There's and he does it by being like, there's an audience that's just not men for this kind of smut. Right? For smut talk,
Right.
But that does eventually lead to shows that are not smutty, right? Like there is a line you can draw there. And when I talk about the success of this show, he starts this in 1971. By 1975, there are 500 shows and more that are ripoffs of the Bill Balance show in different stations around the country. And Bill's show is more popular than ever. One of his most popular segments is a recurring bit with Dr. Norton Christie, a clinical psychologist who had worked for the Rand Corporation. Oh yeah, Dr. Christie's a fascinating piece of shit. Christie's job was to provide pseudo-credible scientific analyses of the fears and complaints made by Balance's callers, right? So they quickly, and again, this is part of like the actual talent here, is recognizing people don't just want to hear Bill be gross on the air and make jokes. They want to hear someone who you can claim as a scientist explain what the psychological stuff
and that
right?
certainly wouldn't continue on. Yeah.
I mean, he's, again, you can draw a direct line from Bill to Jordan Peterson, right?
Sure. Or, Dr. Phil,
Dr. Phil, right?
People.
Yes, absolutely. Bill is a really influential. He's not the only person who helps make this clear to the people making radio shows and eventually TV shows, but he's a major figure in that movement. And his station managers saw this as correctly as an endlessly reproducible format. You get a guy who's kind of funny, you get a medical professional, someone you can claim as a medical professional, and you have callers talk about their fucked up lives. Billions of dollars, right? Infinite money from doing this shit up to this day, right?
Yeah.
Now, one thing they do recognize is that you need a stable of experts, because we're on the air a lot and actual credible clinical psychologists tend to be busy, right? If you're a good clinical psychologist, you probably don't have 5 hours a day to talk to yahoos on the radio, right?
Well, let's not no shade, but Frasier certainly found the time.
Frasier is
And that was part of the reason that Niles and him had such problems.
Yeah.
Niles didn't have 5 hours of radio a day because he was a real doctor.
That is the point of the Frasier show, is that Frasier's not a real psychiatrist.
He's a fraud.
He is a fraud. Yeah. But that's part of what makes it fun.
I love what a fraud that man is.
Absolutely.
God, such a formative childhood crush. But we don't have
absolutely,
time.
absolutely. Look, it was formative. We're talking about Niles, right?
Oh, I'm talking about both of them.
Okay, good. Yeah, absolutely. Both of them. Sure, fine.
And Roz while we're at it.
And Roz. Well, throw Roz in there, sure. You know, honestly, throw John Mahoney on that pile.
And on a good day, maybe even Bulldog. You know,
maybe Bulldog if he's in a good mood. Right. Yeah. I'm glad we're having this complex Frasier talk, Jamie. So, Maris too, once or twice. Yeah, anyway, whatever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, her absence was very, sexually potent.
Right. So, the station management saw this as an endlessly reproducible format, but they need people who actually have time. So they need people who they can pretend are credible medical experts, but aren't enough of a credible medical expert to have better things to do. And this is where Laura Schlesinger is going to come in.
Yes.
She first calls into Bill's show in 1975. Bill has an expert where he's asking women to call in and tell him, would you rather be a widow or a divorcee, right? Laura calls in, she uses a fake name, and she picks widow. And she explains, quote, then you don't have to second guess yourself whether you made the right choice in leaving. You don't feel guilt. Everybody feels sorry for you. They come over and cook for you.
Oh, slay.
That's her reasoning. Yeah. Bill recognizes two key things about Laura from this call. One of them is she has a good voice for radio and she speaks well, and she's someone who actually might have some potential on the air. And the other, the larger, is that she sounds hot. So he keeps her on the line for 20 minutes, and then he has his producer get her phone number, which he's going to be a creep about. But that's all for part 2, Jamie. That's all for part 2.
Wow. I am invested.
Yeah. Let's all come back in a day or so, and we'll learn everything there is to know about the Dr. Laura show.
Like every episode, I'm like, I think she's going to turn this around. I spit in the face of history. She's going to be an awesome person. I just know
This is where we learned that Dr. Laura stopped the second 9/11, you know?
Things wouldn't have gone that way if she was there.
There were going to be 3 more planes, but she talked them all down. She told those hijackers to reconsider their lives,
Wow.
Quit this job, raise a family. She did it, everybody. Saved us all. Saved some other building. I don't know, another famous building.
An even bigger one.
An even bigger one. Jamie, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, Robert, you can find me on this very network. You can find me every week on Tuesdays, 16th Minute of Fame, where I talk to and about the main characters of the internet and what their notoriety meant for the internet and for them. And we've Sophie, of course, is the producer. You are a producer, and Ian is an editor. So, I mean, we're keeping it in the family over there. And it's hot dog season, so get a copy of Raw Dog while you're at it. Tomorrow, as we were recording this, I'm flying to New York to cover the hot dog contest, and it's going to be a barn burner this year. It's going to be very fraught. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Joey.
Burn a barn down. Burn something down, folks. That's all I ask from my listeners. Light a fire somewhere,
Least we can do.
Least we can do. It could be a legal fire. It could be an illegal fire. I prefer fires that are a gray area, Really, try to get like within 6 hours of a burn ban starting, so you've got that plausible deniability, really gamble on it.
Like a sexy little keep them guessing kind of thing.
Keep them guessing. That's all I ask, baby. That's all I ask.
Behind the Bastards is a production of Cool Zone Media. For more from Cool Zone Media, visit our website, coolzonemedia.com, or check us out on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? Business software is expensive, and when you buy software from lots of different companies, it's not only expensive, it gets confusing, slow to use, hard to integrate. Odoo solves that, because all Odoo software is connected on a single affordable platform. Save money without missing out on the features you need. Odoo has no hidden costs and no limit on features or data. Odoo has over 60 apps available for any needs your business might have, all at no additional charge. Everything from websites to sales to inventory to accounting, all linked and talking to each other. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabe Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabe brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabe is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquid simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
You see it instantly. It's Coldwater Creek, the mark of exceptional workmanship and signature touches inspired by a Mountain West heritage. Distinctive styles created from quality fabrics, silhouettes perfected with just the right drape, feel-good fits offering ease of movement, and thoughtful details to elevate your look. For a wardrobe you can count on season after season, visit coldwatercreek.com. Shop the new spring collection at 20% off $75 or more with code IHEART20.
Discover a spectacular island destination with crystal blue seas, endless sunshine, and the cool Bahamian breeze. Baha Mar, located in Nassau, Bahamas, offers your choice of 3 luxury hotels, over 45 fine dining and nightlife venues, John Batiste's all-new jazz club, the Caribbean's most luxurious casino, and one-of-a-kind experiences for the entire family, like our 15-acre tropical water park, wildlife sanctuary, world-class golf course, and so much more. Visit bahamar.com today.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.